The Syscon Fit system, all about field integrated time collection, integrated with Sage, all those great things. So when you're capturing time from the field, the old way, when everyone's out there writing down on their paper time card and faxing it into you or taking a photo and sending it in, they're writing down the wrong job numbers, putting the wrong pay groups, can't tell who sent in what, when. They don't have any confirmation it got sent in, getting all those last minute Excel documents sent over to you that you're supposed to be able to, open and copy and paste from. A lot of inaccurate stuff, a lot of just slow, and a ton of duplicate entry. I can't tell you how many companies I work with where they go, oh yeah, I have someone enter in all of our timesheets. And I say, how long does that take them? They're like, oh, they probably spend like 15 hours a week on it. 15 hours a week redoing something that someone's already done every week. It adds up pretty quick. So welcome the Syscon Fit system. What is the Syscon Fit system? It is a mobile app and system that is designed to capture data from the field and import that data into Sage 100 Contractor using the logic and methodologies of your company. So what is really all of that? Basically, you have guys in the field, you have Sage, they all have smart devices, so we built a bridge between the two of them. The Fit system is comprised of about 3 pieces. We have our Fit mobile app for the field users. They can access this from Android, iOS, or Google Chrome, anywhere they want. Then they're entering their time, they're putting all their info, maybe they're approving some entries through there. That goes over to our Fit workstation, which is for our payroll admins. They get a program that gets installed on their computer, they get access, they get to see the bigger pieces of it. There's some extra features like being able to export to Excel, all that good stuff, things that are really specific to the payroll admins and the field doesn't really care about. And it gives you that little extra layer of security. Then the payroll admin, when they're ready, they're not retyping this stuff into Sage. They press one button and they import that data right over to Sage. So you have a nice smooth transition. You have the right people working on the right platforms with the right data at the right time. The goal is to have everyone have what they need, not extra, when they need it and where they need it. So the benefits, we have our system syncing directly with Sage 100 Contractor. So when you put a job into Sage 100 Contractor, that's going to show up in the app. There's no double entry. When you put an employee in there, they're on there, cost code, all that good stuff. Not only does it show up in the app, but it validates that it's supposed to be there. So if someone tries to put in a wrong job number, they can't. Field users only see the information they need. So you might have, you don't want a field user looking through all your closed or completed jobs when they shouldn't be. They don't need it, they don't want to see it, and you want to keep your data a little more secure as well. So they only see what they need, and they only see what they need for their level. So someone just entering, when their job is only to enter their own time, they don't need to see everyone else's. But if they're a project manager, they do need to see all the people underneath them. So they see the right info based on their role and only the relevant stuff. The information is way faster, gets to you faster, and is available as soon as the field submits it. So when someone's filling out a paper time card, even if they religiously write in the exact right details every day and they're on it and everything's perfect, best case scenario, you're still not seeing that until 7 days after the first week, minimum, often more. With our app, they put it in there, it is instantly available. So when they enter their time at 10:31, at 10:31 and 1 second, the project manager can see what they entered and review it. No more transcribing handwritten time cards. That is fantastic. Have these guys look like they had went to doctor. They have a doctor's handwriting. You have people, with that, you have coffee stains all over your Excel or all of your paper time cards, and no more duplicate entry. One of my favorite parts. And we have allowing the foreman and project managers to approve hours before it gets to payroll. So often I hear about how these guys all, they're putting their time in, whether it's on Excel or paper, and then that's all sent to these project managers at 10 a.m. Monday, and then payroll's supposed to be processing by noon. No way is that going to happen where you have your project managers and foremen reviewing and approving 30 guys of time in a 2-hour span on a busy Monday morning. So the time collection package, the FIT system is the field integrated time system, obviously based around time. We have a lot of other features even outside of time, but it all starts with the hours. Getting the hours in is always where the focus is at. So the time collection package consists of, for the field, capturing hours, and when every company is very different, we recognize that. And so we have multiple layout and entry options for the field. So company A is not going to need the same layout as company B, and we accommodate for that. They have an hours review screen to make sure that what they entered is accurate, or to review and approve in the project manager scenario, and a weekly hours recap, which gives you a time card style view of the data. Then for the back office, they have a review hours and a detailed grid view. For those of you familiar, it's kind of like taking the payroll record time card lines or the daily payroll lines and putting them all in one big grid. There's an hours recap, time card style view, very similar to looking at each of the payroll records, but in a little more organized fashion. Employees missing hours report. This is a really important one. But when I talk to payroll admins, the question I get all the time is, how do we catch the guys that missed entering their whole week? It's really easy to see a guy that missed entering 1 day, 2 days, even 3 days, because if they entered something, they're showing up on your list. But if they didn't enter anything, it's easy to miss that. We don't want a guy to miss a paycheck. So we have a special report that is designed to make sure that every employee that should be submitting through the app has submitted through the app. Managing users is key. You have the ability to manage users 100% on your own, and you can add them, you can take them out, you can change your password, all that good stuff. You don't need any extra, you don't have to call us every time you need a new user. And import export. This is why there's no duplicate entry, because we're syncing with, we're pulling data from Sage or sending data to Sage, and never have to duplicate entry again, hopefully. So in the hours entry, I mentioned that there's 3 different or multiple different entry methods, and every company is kind of set up a little differently. Our most standard one, we just call it hours entry, kind of the base. And this one is, it's the most flexible hours capture page. You can, for companies with a lot of specific rules, this one's great. It allows for the maximum amount of detail when you're really capturing that nitty gritty cost code detail and all that stuff. It's great for all platforms, phone, tablet, web. You can type in or look up values. So if you have a job number, you can type in job 201-705, or you can look it up. There's reference information for each field. So once they type in that job number, you'll see over here on the right, they have that job number in there. It says the name and job type automatically populates, so you know they have the right info. You can enter your own time, or you can enter for a crew. So in this one, it's set up to enter for a crew. So this foreman is entering for 3 different employees, or we have you can do the same setting where you don't give them the option to choose which employee, and it's always entering for themselves. You can enter for single or multiple days at a time. We always encourage daily entry, but the reality is that doesn't always happen. Some companies are better than others. There are companies that I've seen like 98% of their stuff is entered within the day, which is awesome. And others where every single one of their employees enters their whole time card all on Monday morning still. But so you have the option for either one. Excuse me, sorry. And then you can choose any pay type: regular time, overtime, double time, sick, holiday, vacation. We set that up for you. So here's regular time, double time. You can show sick holiday vacation. And then notes for easy communication with payroll. So there's always it's always good to be able to just put in the text when there's to handle those special situations. Some of the fields that are available, you can have it, so you have your job, you can have it be associated with a phase or work order, choose your employees, choose your hours, pay types, cost codes, notes, equipment, shift, like night shift is often a common request. Rate modifiers, which is hugely important for a lot of people. Sometimes when you are traveling and these guys have travel pay, they get an extra 10% on their paycheck. Or if they have a respirator, they might, if they're wearing a respirator, they might get an extra $5 per hour. We can set those so that you can make sure that there's no extra steps to get those extra pay rates included. And then custom fields, whatever you need, we can add in these custom fields onto this page and put them in there. So this design here is great for if they're working on multiple jobs in a day, or if you have lots of detail. It's very flexible. If you're working on one job in a single day, and maybe you have, you're working on one job in a day, but you might work on 10 different cost codes, or one job in a day in 5 different phases. We have this one that's a streamlined for you where you're entering in for each individual day with many cost codes, many phases. You can add as many lines as you want. So you can see here that I have my day, I have my job, and I worked 2 hours on phase 1, cost code 110. I worked 2 hours on phase 3, cost code 12, and 4 and 3 and 32. And I can add to just keep going and going and going. So if you want to break down 20 different cost codes, you can do it all on the same page, all in one entry. It'll let you know how many you entered in total, and then they can save it right from here. This is great for when you are always paying a single pay type, like it's always regular time, or we can actually use this to auto calculate. So you might have a set of rules where Monday through Friday, any hours over 8 is overtime, and Saturday the first 8 hours overtime, and the rest is double time. We can put those rules in here and actually apply them automatically so that no one needs to worry about choosing the pay type. This one's also great for all platforms, phone, tablet, web. You can still type in and look up values. There's still reference info for each field. And then this is all about entering your own time. So this level of detail, we're expecting that everyone's entering their own time, each field guy. So it's not a foreman entering for his crew. And then there's still a notes field for easy communication with payroll. And then there's another standard option for our time entry here, and that is, we call it time card entry. This is designed for when you have a big job, you got lots of guys on it, and you just need to know their hours, whether it's regular time, overtime, double time. That's the primary thing you're focused on. So this is a foreman, he's out on the job, he's entering time for his crew, foreman or crew leader, might be project manager. They're entering, you can enter for the whole week for many employees for one job. This is great for the large crews with the minimal detail. And then you can enter for the whole week on one screen, which is really helpful when you're running with a crew of 20 guys. Pay types of regular time, overtime, and double time. But it does require tablet or web. So we're giving you tons of room or tons of things and options to enter here. You might have 25 guys on it across 7 days and 3 pay types. Fitting all that on a phone screen is not going to be fun for anyone. So you can see here that we have our one job selected for the week, and I have my list of employees, and I can go down and click each of the days, and I have regular time, overtime, double time for each day of the week, and my totals. And you are able to choose the number of hours you're working on. So there's an 8 here, and then I just tap each of these little cells, and it inserts that 8. And then maybe I wanted to change it. You could change it to like a 4, and then I could tap each of those, and my 4 gets inserted. So this is awesome when it's like everybody worked 7 hours today, except this guy worked 3. You can do that all in about 5 seconds. So what we just went through were 3 of our standard options for time entry. We had our time card entry, our hours entry, or job hours entry. You'd pick which one of those applies to you best, and then that's included in the time entry, just kind of standard rollout package. On top of that, a lot of people need some additional things. It's not really just about time in everybody's case. Sometimes they need some add-ons. So approval is one of our optional add-ons. You might have your foreman approve for your field guys or project manager. This allows the user to actually have a button that says approve next to each line in the app. Excuse me. So there's a button that says approve next to each line in the app, and they can just click that and actually mark off that it is approved. This is awesome when you have like a project manager, he's in charge of approving 10 guys' time that are all working on different job sites. Those guys enter their time, the project manager sees it right after it's entered, and they can approve it same day, all from the same app. Field editable hours. So some people want it where after they enter the time, they want their project manager to be able to hit edit and actually edit the time straight in there. This is definitely a company by company decision. In some companies, this is a very bad idea. And in other companies, it's a must have. We have another add-on option is adding custom fields. We have done dozens, maybe 100 custom fields. So whatever you need, we can set that up. Custom import logic. So a lot of people have special rules on their time that's just them. So it might be anyone working on night shift is automatically moved to cost code 110, or anyone wearing a respirator automatically add $5 to their pay rate for every hour. We can do that in this custom import logic. Additional hours entry pages. You might have seen one of these versions that like, oh, that's perfect for this type of job, but what about my service work, or what that's perfect for my on-site job, but what about my like crew jobs? You can do additional hours entry pages where you can pick 2 of them or 3 of them. And then exception highlighting. So some companies have special rules, most common being you should never exceed 8 hours of regular time in a day or 40 hours of regular time in a week. And here you can see I have 8 hours of regular time, we're good to go. And here I have 10, it highlights it in red to bring it to your attention right away, and highlights the over 40 of regular time in red here. That does not apply to all companies. Some people work 4 10s. And in that case, you wouldn't want to apply these rules. So we can set up these. This is another add-on option, is to be able to set up those highlighting rules for whatever you basically deem appropriate. So in recap, your steps to submit time. Field enters the time on their phone or tablet. Back office reviews it, make sure it looks good. They press import to Sage Runner Contractor, and you're done. No double entry, no mailing out paper time cards for them to fill out, no pulling out Excel document, 30 Excel documents from your email. It's a really nice and streamlined process, nice and smooth, minimal effort on each person. So let's walk through one. This is our demo setup. I'm on the web version of the app. When you log in from the web version or from the phone version, it looks almost the same. There's some really minor differences where it's optimized for phone. But so your field guy opens up the app. He picks his company name and his username, and then he's just going to type in his password and log in. Now that he logged in, he's pulled all his settings, everything's here that he needs. I'm going to show you the crew hours entry format for today's example. And we'll enter time for today. So I have my day. I'll pick my job. and I can type it in if I happen to know it. Maybe I do. Let's see. There we go. And it instantly populates with my job name and contractor underneath it. I have an optional phase field, an optional work order field. Then I can choose my employees. Maybe I want to look them up, and I can see a list of employees that I recently added, or I can look at all. Maybe I want to mix the two. So now I'm entering for 4 guys' time all at once. And let's say they all worked 4 hours of regular time on cost code grounding. So I can see my cost codes. It gives me all my info, no notes needed, and I press save. That basically adds it to my hours shopping cart. Then maybe they all moved over to their other job. Again, I can look at my recent jobs that are assigned to me in Sage. So you don't have to assign them a second time. It's where you put in that, you're adding that in Sage already. Or I can look at all, which it really means all that the field can see. So just your current, maybe current and complete. And then I'm gonna look at so this is the one I wanna use. I can choose phases, I can choose work orders. I can mess with this if I want, but we're gonna do 4 hours of regular time and 2 hours of overtime. So I'm entering for 4 guys, regular time and overtime, all in one screen, all at once. And they worked on wireways. So I'll hit save there. Again, adds it to my hours cart, you could say. So now I know that I've entered 8 records for a total of 32 regular and 8 overtime hours. So I'll hit finish and review. It gives me a chance to review it before I save it. So I'm the field guy. I want to make sure that what I added to my card is right. I can go back and enter additional hours. I get a little recap of how many hours I put on each job. Little recap of how many hours I have for each employee. And then down here I have my kind of detail line. So on Thursday, I got a total of 32 hours for 8 overtime hours each person and how much they have. And I might say, well, Lingham here, I don't know if this doesn't look right. Let me bring that up. And I can click there and see the details of what I entered. And I can see you know what, he didn't come in for that morning one. Let me get rid of that. And now it took care of it. Or I can modify it to something else. So if everything looks good, I hit approve and submit. Not only did it work, but it gives me another recap letting me know that it was successful for 4 employees for 36 hours. So that's all they do to enter their time. That's the whole thing. It took me about a minute to enter for 4 guys on 2 jobs. And that was while I was explaining the steps as I went. So I'll hit continue. Now I entered my time. Maybe I'm like, it's tomorrow and I can't remember. Did I enter my time yesterday? I have 2 options here. I can say I want to go to my hours review. And it's bringing up all my hours. And this is by default. It brings up my Saturday to Friday, which is my company's work week. Gives me a recap for the whole week. That's my date range of how many hours on each job. Gives me a recap for the whole week of all my employees. Then down here, I can see each day for each employee and all the details. And maybe Harvey here, well, what's going on with that? I can click on this and it gives me all my kind of recap of it was created on March 15th at 9:53 a.m. How many times have you guys had someone say, oh, I did that last week, and then they turned it in 1 second before? Who created it? So you can see who submitted it. And this is kind of the accountability thing I was talking about earlier. The date the work was done, whether or not it's been approved. This is one of those add-ons for approval if you are using that. The employee, the hours, which says 4 hours for regular time, cost code that the work was done, and then the job. So I have all those good details available for each line that I can see in any place. Here with the approval, one of the approval add-ons, as I'm looking at this detail, this one's not approved. So as the project manager here, that's responsible to approve it. I have the little button that says, yes, I want to approve it, which you can click that, and then it's going to mark it as approved. That's all it is. So you can see it's really clear what they have and haven't approved, because they don't have the option to approve something they already did. So this is great, where you could say what was going on Monday, what was going on Tuesday. Sometimes you want to say, well, what's going on for Ryan here? I can switch to group by employee, and it tells me Ryan each day he worked, and I can again expand it to see all those details. So this little review screen is awesome for your phone. It's awesome for the web. It's awesome for tablet. We also have a web and tablet specific version, which gives them a time card style view. This is definitely the favorite view for almost every company I work with. So it tells you each day of the week, how many regular, how many overtime, how many double other for a full week. And each person gets their own little row. This is the Excel timesheet that you guys have probably been dealing with for many years. And then, so I could say, well, what's going on with Harvey? He's got a lot of overtime. He's got more overtime than I would expect to see normally. We can click there, and it expands to show all the details. So those of you who are used to payroll records, it's essentially Harvey Smith's payroll record and then his time card lines. Tells you all that same info: date, job, phase, if you're using it, who entered it, when it was created, cost code, hours, work order, travel pay. So these are two examples of this travel pay is one of those custom fields. I can approve what I want. I can add a note right from here and let the back office know wrong job number, move to 22204. And so I'm adding a note right from here that's communicated to payroll. You don't have to call every time for every change. So guys enter their time. You have the option for project managers to come in here and approve it. And that's like it. The field has it nice and smooth. So now that the field has done their job of entering time and maybe or maybe not approving it, I'm going to open up our Fit Workstation. And the Fit Workstation is essentially the payroll admin or the payroll manager piece of this. It looks very similar, but this program is installed for each of your payroll admins. It's a super easy install process. You put it on any computer. It doesn't even need to be on the same computer or same network as your Sage data, which is really nice. And I'm going to log in with the same info, same company name, my username of payroll admin. I'll put in my password. And it's going to pull down all my settings and stuff from the cloud. I have which Sage database it's pointed to, who's logged in, all those good little things. I can pick my date range, so when you're working on the previous week or the current week or single day. But in here I can review hours, and it looks like a lot. It's basically the daily payroll screen or the time card lines all stacked on top of each other, which makes it very easy to sort. If I want to get all my overtime together, I want to look for anyone that put in a note. You can edit right from here. So I see this is overtime, but that's no good. I'm making it regular time. We don't need that. After I edit it, it turns orange to let me know if my edit was successful. If something's invalid, I can delete it. So you can go through here. There's some great filtering. This is one of the options for the payroll admins to review those hours, make sure it looks good. We even can download it straight to Excel, which is great if you're looking for a little bit extra on that. Payroll admins also can go to the hours recap. And this is very much like, again, payroll records, where I can say, all right, Ryan, what's going on? I can see his totals for each day. And down here, I get all of Ryan's details. Click here on Harvey. And again, I'm able to see this, and I get all of Harvey's details. I can see down in the approval status here that it was approved, and not only was it approved by Thomas Smith. So you can see who did it and when they did it. Notice I might import it of no, because this has not been imported to Sage. So the payroll staff goes in here, looks at all this stuff, makes sure the data looks good, makes the changes they need. If you are using approval, you can look at your unapproved hours report, and it's going to tell you all your unapproved hours. You can look at your employees missing hours, and it says any employee that's missing time that should be in there. But most importantly, our import-export page, once I've gone through the time, field entered it, maybe the approval happened, maybe it didn't, depending on if you guys are using that. Payroll staff looks at it, makes any tweaks they need. I'm gonna go ahead and say, let's import them. I wanna send these hours into Sage. So we're gonna grab, we'll just grab the 12th to 16th, let's say, my Monday through Friday. Actually, grab the 10th to 16th. It's my work week. I'm gonna say show summary. So it's looking through your data and it's seeing what would be imported if I were to enter in here. So there's 19 total records. There are 100 total hours for a total of 6 employees. We list any date with unimported time. This is my test data set, so there's quite a bit of old stuff, but really you should only have that current week's time in this list. So it's a good way to make sure that you have no one entered on last week or next week on by mistake or something like that. So it gives me a little recap, and then I'm gonna say, yep, let's import this to Sage. So now it's computing your pay rate. It's for each person. It's applying any of that custom logic you have. It's adding workers' comp codes. It is doing all of those things to make your data as accurate as possible. And it lets me know I've successfully created it, and then lets me know again I still have dates that have not been imported. If this were really my live company, I wouldn't want to see any date in here that wasn't current. So I'm going to hit continue, and that's it. We have now captured time in the field, and even with the add-on of approval step, the back office reviewed it through that fit workstation. We imported it directly to Sage under a Contractor. So if I am to go into Sage and I have my demo version M company, I go to daily payroll, and then let's look over at earlier this week. And here is exactly the hours that I had in Sage. I have my employees, my jobs, brought over my cost codes, my pay types, my pay groups, pay rates, all this stuff. I've seen things out there that say, we're integrated with Sage, except we don't compute pay rates, or we don't get the pay group, or all those things. We are 100% integrated and pull all of that relevant data. And if I go all the way over here, we even have the notes will come into here wherever those applied. I don't know if we imported any with notes for today. So getting back to it, we entered the time, back office reviewed it, imported it, done. So it all starts with the hours, absolutely. That is the foundation of where this stuff comes from. But once you have the hours in there, we already have the jobs, we already have the employees, we already have user access, we already have it across all platforms, all these great things. We started adding additional features that are kind of related. So we have our expense and receipt package that lets you capture expenses and photos of the receipts from the field through the same app. You have the job site daily equipment rental package. So if you want to say, like, this piece of equipment is on the job Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I want to make sure my client gets billed for it, we can capture that through the app. Job summary with signature. So you're on the site and your foreman is supposed to check in with the client, show them who worked on the job that week, and they need the client sign off. That's available. They can actually, the client signs right on the tablet. Employee evaluation, which is really great. You have your foreman evaluating each person they entered time for that week. And then custom pages and forms. We had done a lot of very specific and unique pages. Sometimes they're one-offs, but we set it up for your specific company. And what's great about this is, if you wanted to do a custom page from scratch, you have to get a way for users to log in. You have to get your list of jobs in there. You have to get a way for you to be able to review it. You have to have a place to store it. It's like a million steps, but we already have those covered and more. So we have a lot. But with it, we always recommend start off with time. Lay that foundation, get everyone familiar with it, and then start adding in features and stuff as you go. So I have here what's kind of next after that. So you have a time collection package. If that's what you want to go with, starts with the configuration. Oh, I think I jumped in order there. So we have a little discovery meeting, so we know what settings you guys want for your app. How do you guys have them configured? What's important to your company specifically? We have our configuration of the mobile app, configure the payroll workstation. We set up your company data to connect to the cloud, and then auto sync that with Sage Runner Contractor. So every hour, data is going to be syncing up with Sage, making sure it's all there, all accurate. Once we get it all configured, which is a very quick process for us now, we do the implementation. So we're going to do that little initial review and training with called the company super user, whoever's going to be basically in charge of rolling this out. We have a initial training with the payroll lead, making sure that they know how they're comfortable reviewing and editing and importing from there. We have our beta testers. We grab a couple field guys, 2 or 3 field guys, give it to them, have them spend a week where they enter time in the app and do it whatever old way you did, make sure everything ties out perfectly, and then basically follow up for the beta testing, make sure it looks good. Usually it's been pretty smooth, and then start rolling it out. Then there's a monthly subscription that goes with the Fit system. Updates for continued compatibility with mobile platforms. This is a very fast-moving technology world. You have daily, weekly, monthly updates coming to phones, iOS, Android. Your Google Chrome has some big updates coming soon, and Sage has had, I'm sure you've all just gone through the pain of version 19, version 20 upgrade. We keep it continuously updated all the time and continued compatibility. Keep a backup of all that field submitted data. We have unlimited mobile app downloads. You can put it on, if you could have one guy put it on 50 devices, totally fine. You don't have to worry about them only putting it on like their one tablet or something. You have up to 200 app users. For those of you who are, and that's people that actually log in, so you can data capture for unlimited employees. So if you have 10 foremen all entering for 50 guys, that's still only 10 app users, even though you're at 500 employees that you're capturing time for. This has been more than enough in most cases, and where it's been an exception, we've been able to work with them on.